everything you need to know, though, about when you could get your shot.
But up first tonight, secret surveillance. The I-Team is exposing the Richmond County Sheriff's Office in what an Augusta judge called an outrageous abuse of the law. At the center, a video recording in a double murder that violates the U.S. Constitution.
What's more, we uncovered this illegal activity likely wasn't a one-time mistake. It appears it was policy at the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. So I started digging into another high-profile case happening about that very same time, and I found it might have happened again. Preston Overton and Janelle Carwell. Their lives never intersected, but in the summer of 2017,
Janelle Carwell,
Preston Overton, Carwell, Janelle Carwell, their stories intertwined. Both went missing right around the same time. Overton was a young Augusta father of two. Carwell, a high school student, missing at only 16 years old. There were searches, but none of those countless miles ever gained any ground. And in both cases, there were arrests and murder charges, even before either body had been found. This is the time frame the I-Team is putting under the microscope. The 326 days it took to find Janelle Carwell's remains, and the 665 days Preston Overton's family waited in agony before his remains were discovered.
I'm not going to stop looking for him.
Documents suggest during those searches, a judge found other crimes were taking place. Only this time, those enforcing the law are accused of breaking it. Specifically, the Richmond County Sheriff and some of his deputies. Sheriff Richard Roundtree refused to sit down for an interview to shine light on any of this. We first reached out in October, then again in November and December. Here we are in January. The sheriff would not give the I-Team an interview, nor would he give us a statement. So we're going to rely on court documents to speak on his behalf. Let's start with the Preston Overton case. February 27th, 2018. A search that day at the Richmond County Jail located two handwritten papers that were believed to be a map of some type. At that point, Overton had been missing for more than 8 months. The maps were found in Wrdw's cell. Wrdw was one of the suspects charged with murdering Preston Overton and also killing another man, Chad Gardner. Gardner's body had been found shortly after the men went missing, but with Overton still missing, investigators were interested in this map. So interested, they transported Wrdw and another suspect in the case, William Krebs, 10 miles from the jail to CID, or the Criminal Investigation Division at the Sheriff's Office. Both were placed in separate interview rooms where they met with their attorneys. But here is where the problem arises for the Sheriff's Office. According to court documents, those attorney-client conversations were recorded. An investigator testified this wasn't accidental because it is policy of the Sheriff's Office to record everything that occurs when a person is in the interview room. The judge calls it outrageous abuses of statutory and constitutional law, saying these facts shock the conscience of anyone who has even a modicum of knowledge of the law. The judge goes further, writing in all caps, "It is a felony to record attorney-client conferences."
I was furious after that hearing.
Natalie Payne was the district attorney at the time.
I didn't understand what they were exactly trying to, that I was conspiring with the Sheriff's Office. I mean, that's insane. That is just insane.
Payne says attorneys typically meet clients at the jail in a room with no recording equipment, instead of at the Sheriff's Office in a room set up to record everything.
Maybe once or twice a year, a defense attorney comes up would be in that facility in that capacity talking with a defendant.
She says when this happened, deputies would turn off the audio, but still monitor the video for safety purposes.
In their minds, they're like, okay, well, it's muted. Like, nobody's listening to it. So if we're not listening to it, we don't know what they said.
Regardless, under the law, recording this at all is still illegal. An attorney for one of the suspects, Wrdw, testified he reviewed the footage and was surprised to see and hear this meeting. So Wrdw's attorney filed this lawsuit against Sheriff Roundtree himself, plus other investigators on the case and their supervisors, for violating his client's civil rights.
I mean, literally, it was not intentional at all whatsoever.
Right.
You were questioned about that, and that's what you said. All I can tell you is that nobody did it with the intent of surreptitiously recording an attorney and client speaking to
And
each
that
other.
was what was implied in the motion. I mean, just, what was implied was that this was like some grand scheme to find, to hear what they were talking about or something, when it's just, that wasn't the case at all.
The judge agreed, finding no member of law enforcement or the district attorney's office entered into any type of conspiracy to violate the rights of any of these defendants. Instead,
somebody to be charged with a crime, there has to be an act and an intent. And there was no intent. And even the judge found there's no intent. Nobody can be criminally charged for that. It was a literal accident.
2 months ago, Augusta commissioners unanimously approved a settlement in the case, awarding 27-year-old Von Wrdw $50,000 in taxpayer funds. He was originally charged with murder, but pleaded guilty to tampering with evidence. He'll serve 6 years in prison, followed by 3 years probation.
Does this bring any concern about maybe some other times that this has happened and people didn't know? Like, does this put any other cases in jeopardy?
There was another case where, because of this case, I truly did not know what had happened, and I brought it to the defense attorneys.
The I-team uncovered it happened again. We obtained this motion filed in Richmond County Superior Court, stating in June of 2017, another attorney-client meeting was recorded at the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. The suspect in this case, Leon Tripp. He's accused of killing his stepdaughter, 16-year-old Janelle Carwell. If convicted, he could face the death penalty. Janelle's disappearance shocked Augusta in the summer of 2017 as her mother cried for our cameras, begging for her return.
Her own mother and stepfather behind bars.
To the time, both she and her husband were arrested for the crime.
The latest details.
Just this past summer, we learned investigators believe Tanya and Leon Tripp tried to hire a hitman to kill Janelle at least 3 times. Meanwhile, the I-team has learned Leon Tripp's attorney has filed this paperwork, not only accusing deputies of illegally recording his meeting with his client, but he also takes it one step further, suggesting he's reasonably certain that meeting was reviewed by law enforcement. This news conference is where Sheriff Richard Roundtree changed the status of Janelle's case.
With a murder investigation and no longer a missing person.
Court documents suggest knowledge of her death could perhaps be linked to that recorded meeting. Furthermore, the motion alleges deputies also recorded a conversation between Tripp and his mother. Payne says she can't comment on any of this.
I have to be careful about that because Leon Tripp is a pending case, so I can't discuss that.
But she can talk about the Preston Overton case since it's settled. The suspect, who did lead investigators to the body, is now serving a life sentence. But you might say Preston Overton's murder case brought about justice in another way.
What then happened as a result?
Immediate. We completely revamped the way the interviews were done.
Hopefully preventing any further civil rights violations and taxpayer settlements from ever having to happen again.
Now, our invitation to Sheriff Richard Roundtree stands. We hope that one day he will take us up on our offer to talk about this.
And just to be clear, the sheriff's office is the one in the hot seat for all this, right?
Right. Natalie Payne adds, when she was DA, it was not her role to advise the sheriff on any of his policies, and even if she did, she says he wouldn't be required to follow any of her suggestions.
Important investigation there. Eye-opening. Meredith, thanks. Let's have a live look outside. There's